Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Do Hard Things podcast. I'm your host, Jay Teague, certified high performance coach, transformational mindset coach. And in this episode of the podcast, I have a fantastic conversation with Coach Tom Kiat. Now, Tom and I recently met him in one of his groups. He's a fantastic individual who I resonated rather quickly with, and you'll find out in our conversation why. Is we have there's a lot of synergy and a lot of commonality with our mindset. I appreciate the work that he's doing, so I'm really appreciative of him taking the time to be here. Before I get into the bio, if you haven't done so already, please take a moment to subscribe to the podcast so you're notified of future episodes. You don't want to miss out on any of the work that we're doing here. And if you haven't done so already, please take a moment to leave us a review on iTunes. They go a long way for us to expand the reach. And it's part of the ranking system that they have over at iTunes. So the more reviews that you have, when people do a search for, podcasts about doing hard things or growth mindset or any of those areas of personal growth and development, it will pop up on their feed so we can expand the message, because I think that we're doing a lot of great work here. And take a screenshot and share on social media. Tag me in it. Let me know what you think of today's episode and any other comments that you have. You can connect with me on all social media outlets, and I'd love to hear your feedback on what you thought of the show, previous shows, and any future shows or future show ideas. Love to hear it. And if you haven't joined the Do Hard Things Nation, check out the Do Hard Things Nation on the Facebook page. We're going to be hosting some community events and speakers and things like that, so you don't want to miss out on any of that. You can join the newsletter. I send out a weekly motivational newsletter and keep the nation up to date on what is going on. And what else we got going on? If you are looking for one-on-one coaching, you're ready to level up to the next level, you can apply for one-on-one coaching. You can apply for group coaching through the Forge, where we meet up weekly and facilitate conversations on a variety of high performance topics. So you can do personal growth and development on your own, but when you're ready to level up, it's more powerful when you have a tribe of people to do that with. So, all right. So without further ado, let me get into Tom's bio here. I'm going to read this to you. So Tom Kiat is the author of The Ultimate Men's Playbook. He's a world-class performance coach, natural bodybuilding champion, and father of two. He's the founder of League of Elite, a men's high achievers program, and manages the careers of a selection of elite athletes, executives, and popular influencers. Tom currently makes his home just off the Pacific Ocean in Costa Rica, and he's a great individual, and I hope you enjoyed today's conversation. So let's get into it. All right, welcome everybody to another episode of the Do Hard Things podcast. I am honored and just super excited to have my guest Tom Kiat on today. And if you're watching in the YouTube, if you're listening to this on audio, you might hear some wind noise. But Tom is down in lovely Costa Rica. I'm in the Midwest. It's 25 degrees today. So as I see your background of the palm tree swing, and I'm totally jealous, brother.
It's a green screen, brother. It's a green screen.
Looks pretty real to me, man. We get the fans blowing around you for the noise.
You'll see the birds fly by or the butterflies or whatever. You'll know it's real. Anyway.
Oh, I'm so jealous. Well, thanks for coming on today. Let's just hop right into this, man. Just tell us a little bit who you are and what you do.
Right on, brother. I'm a former school teacher of 25 years. I also had a strong fitness business, Elite Training Center. I've coached 500-600 men personally, a lot of seminars. I've written a book, The Ultimate Men's Playbook. And right now I've got a string of clients that I coach, executives, influencers, a small group of people. I also have a men's group, men's leadership group through Facebook that's just starting up now. A lot of things on the go, man.
Yeah, we had crossed on Facebook somehow. I'm not sure. And then we got connected on the phone one day, and then we've just been kind of touching base ever since. I really enjoy the work that you're doing. I've got a copy of The Ultimate Men's Playbook. It's a fantastic book. I really like actionable tactics that people can incorporate into their life.
Right.
And, that's what you teach. That's what you demonstrate. You've got the playbook here. And, we've been sharing a lot of knowledge back and forth and looking for opportunities to collaborate. So I just, I admire the work that you're doing. I admire your lifestyle living down in Costa Rica, being an expat and just living the
Now,
life.
you're
And
coming down one day, right?
I am. Yeah, totally. Totally.
Come down, visit, stay with me.
Yeah. What was that? The monkey?
There's so many birds chirping around here. I got to tell you, we put an owl up, this fake owl on the roof, just to get rid of some of the iguanas around the property, right? Apex predator. We stopped all the birds. They all just went away. So
Really?
obviously we removed the owl, get the birds back into play. So that's what you're hearing in the background.
Yeah, no, there's always a lot of wildlife every time I see you standing by the pool or it's awesome. It's awesome. So you're a former school teacher turned men's coach. How do you describe what is your title? What would you describe yourself as?
Oh, dude, I can't tell you. Just a coach, man. Just a
coach. Yeah.
Yeah, you can call me a fitness coach, but you and I both know when you get into fitness with people, it becomes more than that. You almost become their therapist.
Yeah.
You become that life coach because those surface problems of losing weight, getting into shape, they are just surface problems to greater issues.
Yeah.
Low self-esteem, bad relationship with your wife, challenges in your childhood. You know the deal.
Yeah, no, I started down that path of health and wellness coaching because I've always been an athlete and people were inspired by me. And so I started helping people out with that. But that led me down into a little bit deeper. I was more passionate about helping people unlock their mindset because, like you said, that's just one component. And what I teach is, hard has the do hard things. Hard is a mnemonic for the four walls of your house, your health and wellness being one of those walls. Your affluence and wealth creation, your relationships, and then your skill development. You got to maintain balance in all those areas. Yeah, but if any of those walls are knocked down, the whole roof falls in, right? So exactly. I think that's incredibly important. So yeah, no, I can empathize completely with that. Health is just one component.
We have a similar model. We have a very similar model. The thing is, mine's based more on a pyramid. I mean, we don't have the that fourth thing of skill development. It's already kind of built into the other three. But same thing, relationships, career, finance, and obviously your body, your health, spirituality, that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Right on.
Well, that's great. So what got you into that type of work? Like I guess take us back in time and how did you get into this type of work?
The coaching?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was 20 years old going through university. I knew I wanted to be a teacher, but I was a bodybuilding gym rat. So I would take guys into the facility I worked and say, hey, listen, you got to work with me. I got to try something out on you. I had tons of guinea pigs, right? And I just loved helping them out. It was a real passion helping them develop their bodies. And through that, obviously you get into these relationships where you can help them on a greater level with their relationships, with their self-esteem, that kind of stuff. And I said, you know what, I'm going to run a parallel course here. I'm going to get into teaching, but I'm also going to run a fitness business. And that's where it started. And then I know 2000, things really launched. I wrote a book a long time ago. It was more like a workshop type of book. And in 2003, I decided, listen, I'm going to go full-time with fitness coaching. I'm going to go full-time with teaching. I'm going to make a shitload of money. I'm going to help a shitload of people. And it was just a passion. It wasn't good enough to just touch a group of students, 30 students. I said, I can do more than this. I can help thousands of people. So I was only going to do that through my own enterprise. And that was my fitness business. And it just took off from there, man. Just crazy. I was at like 110 clients every 2 weeks once we launched this thing. And it took on a life of its own, 35 hours teaching, 35 hours of coaching. It's crazy, but making an impact with people.
Yeah, that's a lot of hours. And there's something, of all the roles that I've had in the military, being a teacher or instructor has been the most fulfilling. And sometimes I'm like, well, who am I to teach whatever? How do I know this or that? Or, almost like a little bit of imposter syndrome. But, I've learned a lot of things the hard way. And I want to be that lighthouse for other people to not make the same mistakes that I made. And I study a lot. And I really enjoy even in the military, when it's just basic concepts, or even like health and wellness, like if someone just applies a new bit of knowledge to their life and seeing how it impacts them, it's just very rewarding.
Yeah, big time. Let me ask you something, Jay. If not you, then who? Because here's what I see from you, okay? A guy with integrity. You've got an outstanding record. I've seen the medals. I've seen the recognition you've gotten. Like, you're the real deal. All right. You're outspoken, very intelligent. You've got a system in place. If not you, then who? Like, I trust you. I would love to collaborate with you because you're the real deal. Right. And I think a lot of people have to look and say, okay, you look at The Rock out there, you look at, I don't know, Elon Musk, and then they sell themselves short. They don't think they can play up to that level. You don't have to play up to that level. You can still make an impact. And I think it comes down to confidence, believing in yourself and believing in your message and saying, listen, this is not about me. This is about helping others with my gift, right? And becoming unselfish. And the moment you become unselfish, your world opens up.
Yeah, becoming unselfish. A lot of times we kind of get in our own way, and we're worried about the opinions of other people. And I know initially when I started kind of going down this path of a lot of it was selfish for me because it made me better, but having that public accountability of, hey, this is what I've learned, this is what I'm struggling with. And some people are like, kind of poking fun. But once you get over that aspect, like, there's no shortage of people that are going to make fun. And it's got nothing to do with you. It's usually their own self-image, and they're worried about it's their own opinion of themselves. And thank you for those compliments. I really appreciate that. That means a lot.
Yeah, I'm not trying to sugarcoat it, dude. It's the real deal.
Yeah, and I think it's why we've connected so well, because there's a lot of similarity and there's a lot of synergy, and I'm looking forward to connecting with you and doing some more work. And I like where your heart's at. Every time that we've talked, it's always been about service to other people. You're going to make the money, and the lifestyle will come along with it, but at the end of the day, it's about helping people, right?
Yeah. Jay, listen, I retired at age 49. Okay, I don't think I need to work another day in my life. But it gets kind of boring sitting around drinking margaritas at the beach.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the reality. And I think what ends up happening is when you have that time, creativity just starts flowing, and you say, like, I'm on this earth for greater than just chilling out and doing nothing. Okay, I've got to make an impact. And I got to tell you, I mean, that's the goal. That's the goal right now. It's not good enough to just rest on your laurels and just sit and do nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, we all have purpose, right?
Yeah. No, a lot of people retire from their career. I see this within the military, or just even in everyday civilian jobs. And what is it? The people die like a couple years after. They say they're gonna work their ass off their entire life, and they're not really taking care of themselves. They're not managing their stress or their health, and then it's like they completely lose their purpose and they die.
Exactly.
And that's scary.
That's downright scary.
Yeah. And in my group right now, we're working through like our purpose statements and things like that. Like you go through different stages in your life, but you need to have a compelling purpose for yourself that transcends the roles that you're in or the various stages of your life. So you always have a sense of meaning, and we as humans need that sense of contribution. Yeah, and a lot of times people get their purpose tied up with their kids, like, oh, I'm a parent. And then when the kids leave the nest to go to college, it's like, well, now what? Or they get tied up into their career, and it's like their career's over with. They retire. They've been looking forward to, sipping margaritas in Costa Rica. And like, well, this does get a little boring after a little bit, And so I think it's important to have that greater purpose and find that sense of contribution. What's next? And I don't think that I'm definitely not packing it in, not just because I'm retiring from the military. I feel like, oh, wow, now I have the tools and whatnot to take this to the next level and help more people.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting? You got a lot of people living through their kids, and, I'm going to be the best dad possible. I'm going to provide for my kids, but I'll tell you what ends up happening. By the time they get to 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, they no longer seek your guidance. I mean, they might seek your guidance when you're 30, but there's a point in time where they're doing their own thing because you want to know something? You didn't perform. You didn't set the tone. You didn't set the example. I'll tell you right now, I run hard all the time. My kids come first, but I'm tied in first with them with my life. And they see that and they go, holy shit, man, like dad gets shit done. I want to be like dad. Dad doesn't take a break. Dad always delivers, and you become a role model for your kids. Whereas, so many people, well, I'm gonna postpone my stuff to take care of the kids. That is so selfish, because kids need to see you in a leadership role. They need to
Absolutely.
see you winning. They need to see you succeeding. Guess what? They're gonna follow suit. It's not what you say, it's what you do. You're the role model. They're watching.
Absolutely. Your actions speak louder than words. I love that, because a lot of people think that they're serving everyone around them by not taking care of themselves. They put everyone else first, and then they're burnt out and they're unhappy, and you're right. You need to tie yourself at least in first place with them, and take care of yourself.
It
And
sounds so selfish, man. It sounds so selfish. It's actually the opposite mentality. You have to be the leader.
yeah, absolutely, man. I love that. That kind of gave me some goosebumps there.
Man.
That's good. So how old are your kids now?
I've got a 21-year-old who's traveling everywhere in the States, LA, Texas, Miami, you name it. I've got a daughter who's 18 years old. She's entrepreneurial. She's going to start her own aesthetics business. She's also a really good chef, kind of like personal catering. Yeah, really good. Two, I'm going to say teens, but he's no longer a teen, 21, two young adults.
Yeah, that's awesome. He's doing really well on YouTube. I mean, the last time we talked,
Dude, he's killing it. The guy is killing it. Here's a guy who came to us around this time last year, January 16th. He had just dropped out of school. He had felt like a bum. And I said, dude, in 3 months, you can turn everything around. Have you ever seen that show, Undercover Billionaire?
Yeah.
There's a show on TV. I said, Matt, there's this guy who went from $100 to, I think he was close to a millionaire in 3 months. What can you do in 3 months? And then we just started brainstorming like crazy. I believe in taking massive action. Set your course, begin with the end in mind. Where do you want to be? And let's take massive action and get shit done, right? His first month of business, 8,000 US. His second month of business, 7,000 US. His fourth and fifth month of business, 20 and 30,000 K.
That's awesome.
Massive action. And the second thing he did, I told him, buddy, what you got to do is, you've just got me right now. Go into a house full of sharks, guys who are succeeding. Okay, guys who are winning, guys who are pushing each other. Watch your game change to a completely different level. So he's living in some kind of fancy house in LA with creators. These guys are killing it because they're in that environment. He goes, Dad, I love girls, but I got to tell you, girls are kind of like a side thing right now because I'm so motivated. I can't go to bed at night. I'm so excited about ideas because I've got a bunch of guys around me who are geniuses. So, hey, listen, you hang with the right people, you join a group like my group or your group, you're going to be around winners. And guess what ends up happening? And that's not a sales pitch. You start performing at a different level. You raise your standards.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you are who you surround yourself with and spend time with. I mean, we've heard that over and over again, right? You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and that's 100% true.
Yeah,
and
but
so,
Jay, hold on a second. What happens? I remember listening to Grant Cardone, and he goes, "That's actually not true." And I'm like, well, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "I'm such a high achiever that the people around me aren't winning the way I am." I'm like, okay, interesting point. So what do you do when you are so far ahead of so many other people around you and you want to break out and you want to do good things? What do you do?
that's a good question. What do you do?
Well, number one, you find a mentor. You find the person who you want to emulate to some degree, you want to learn from, and you ride that person's coattails.
Yeah.
You find the most successful person you know, and you say, hey, listen, I want to buy you dinner. I want to sit down with you. I want to pick your brain. I want to talk to you. I want to shoot some ideas. Are you okay with that? The guy says, no. Okay, next person. Or the guy usually says this, I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah.
And then you join a community with like-minded people. Listen, if you want to get into shape, what do? You join something kind of like a CrossFit gym where you're around winners. If I put you in an Olympic village with a group of 10 athletes, you're no longer eating like shit. You're waking up on time, you're eating like them, you're thinking like them, right? So you got to find those groups. And then the third thing is what you read.
But Tom, I don't, it's going to cost me money. What do I, Tom?
Money,
it's Exactly. What's it costing you not to? It's costing you more than. That's what I tell a lot of people that, because just like, they hesitate. Like, I remember the first time that I paid to join a Facebook group. I was like, people pay to join a Facebook group? There's like all these free groups out here. You get into a group and connect with people like that on a different level, and you start to do business with it. There's no bullshit in there. It weeds out the bullshit.
No. Well,
and that's what.
Well, they usually say, how much does it cost? Because they don't see the end result. They don't see the value. If they were guaranteed that, from their $100 a month investment, they would make $1,000 from that, they're in. They're just lacking the confidence. And I think that's where you got to take some baby steps and have some faith in yourself, have some faith in the person that you're working with, and say, he says I'm the real deal. He says I can do it. Let me just put some trust in this guy.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love that. That's just the common conversation. And I remember having those conversations with myself when I finally made the leap. And I couldn't imagine where my life would be had I not invested in myself. And those little investments have gotten bigger and bigger, over time. And it's a critical component of my budget is myself, my personal growth and development, investing in myself. You can't, it's hard to put a price on happiness and all the positive things that have happened in my life, because I've connected with other people and made those impacts. And I'm here where I'm at now in my new career path. I'm finding fulfillment. I was lost for so many years, and I couldn't have found that I could have kept bumbling around, but I felt like I found it by connecting with other people who showed me other possibilities.
Yeah, big time. What's the alternative? Watch Netflix, live an average life, and struggle financially later on in life. That's the alternative.
Yeah. And so many people are on that fast track to do that.
The majority are.
Yeah. Well, it's awesome to see your kids thriving, and that's got to make you a proud parent.
Yeah. Big time.
So how's life down in Costa Rica? How did you were living in Canada?
Okay.
And let's talk about, I guess, being an expat, because a lot of people are like, living in another country, that's scary. What about the crime? What about the price of, whatever?
Right. Okay. Yeah. So we made a decision to go to Hawaii for our honeymoon. And once we got to Maui, we were there for 10, 12 days, went to Maui, went to the bigger island, Oahu. And I loved it. My wife loved it. We said, you know what? We got to think outside the box. Everything that we've done in our lives. I remember saying to Renata's son, I said, life is a daring, bold adventure. And I mean it. Or it's nothing at all. So we're in Hawaii, and I said to Renata, we're moving to Hawaii. That's it. We got to do this. We got to figure out a way. She said, I'm in. We're going to do this. And it ended up not working out the way we planned because of the residency thing. We wanted to make this a full-time move, not a part-time move. And then we kind of lost that dream. I was walking around in a daze saying Hawaii was just too nice. I've got to make a move. I went to a men's group meeting sometime in February 2020, and this guy talked about Costa Rica. I had thought Costa Rica was Puerto Rico. I had no idea. And I got into the car with my wife. I said, we're moving to Costa Rica. She goes, okay, let's do it. That was like, I'm going to say February 27th, 28th, something like that. We got home. We stayed up for 5 straight days researching everything. Price of bananas, price of chicken, price of real estate, electricity, vehicles. How much can we get for our home? We're selling everything. 5 straight days where I honestly didn't go to bed. I might have taken some power naps. And I said to Renata, I walked down, I said, I booked a trip to Costa Rica for 5 days. We're buying property. She goes, absolutely. She started digging for properties. We looked at 14. We went on a power shopping trip because we were convinced we were moving to Costa Rica. We got down here. We put a bid on a house. We got it. Moved to Canada. We sold the house during COVID. Within about a month, we sold everything during COVID. 3 automobiles, a motorcycle. We sold everything. And then we couldn't fly. They shut down all the flights. So we had to get a private charter jet to fly us down with the Great Dane and 2 other dogs. That was crazy. We got down to Costa Rica. They said, okay, welcome to Costa Rica. Where's your proof of negative PCR test? We don't have it. Okay, well, you're on the flight back home the next day if you don't provide that. And there was some bureaucratic red tape with this PCR. We ended up finally getting it, but not without sweating it. We were detained all night until we produced that thing. The moment we did, we ended up getting a taxi and driving to our house. So Costa Rica, we're 350 meters from the beach, 2,500 square foot bungalow, 5 bedrooms, gated community, pool, loving life, man. It is completely different here. It's affordable in some areas. In our area, depending on the home you buy, it's anywhere from 300,000 to 2 million. A lot of expats here. You don't need to speak Spanish, but it's a good idea to do that. Get good with the locals. They're wonderful people. Dude, you got to come down here. It's really a magical place. Sometimes you feel like you're in the 70s here, where you see 5 guys in the back of a pickup truck, no seatbelts driving along, right? You got horses on the side of the road that you got to stop for traffic-wise. You got some shitty automobiles that are from the 70s still on the road, right? It's crazy. Anything goes here.
That's awesome.
How's it regulated in North America? I got to tell you.
How's the crime down there? Do you have any issues with crime or anything?
No, man. This is
most of the world is pretty safe. A lot of people are like, oh, they're so scared to travel abroad because of the news.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, it's funny. I read an article. I said, okay, there was a break-in in this place, and I said there was a murder, there was a aggravated assault, and Renata goes, "Where was that?" I said, "Our old neighborhood." Right? And you think it was a good neighborhood that we were living in before. It was. Crime's everywhere, man. But maybe we just don't hear about it here because we don't follow the news. But it's pretty safe here.
Yeah. No, that's outstanding. Yeah, I'm always jealous every time I see the palm trees blowing. I can see a little bit of the ocean behind you there. I'm like, oh man, I don't know why I live in the Midwest. It's not going to happen when my kids are when they go into college. We're gonna make a move somewhere. Got to be somewhere warm. Yeah. Well, let's what do you want to talk about? I'm going to be honest. I usually have my brain is foggy from the COVID, man. Yeah. I've never asked my guests in the middle of the podcast what you want to talk about. Man.
It's all good. It can be sometimes.
Yeah, that's how we're going to roll with that anyway today. So thanks everyone for bearing with me today. Thanks, Tom, for putting up with me.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, I'll tell you what. This is for your listeners and mine. There's 2 ways to go about being successful. There's the long way and there's the shortcut. Okay, so the long way is show me your habits and I'll tell you where you're going to end up. Okay. So retired at 49. I'm a millionaire. I don't need to work. Very happy. Great relationship. I have everything I want. Here's the deal. How did I get there? It was the small actions. It was the 70-hour work weeks. It was doing the little things daily. It was making the connections, the contacts daily as a habit. It was waking up early in the morning, every morning, writing my first book, waking up an hour early when I didn't have time. It was writing my second book in a matter of a couple months by every day, writing for an hour. You want to be successful long-term? Show me your habits. And if they're good, rock-solid habits, it's amazing. We overestimate what we can do in a year. We underestimate what we can do in a lifetime. You put in the work daily, you will be rewarded. So the attitude, Wayne Gretzky, best advice I ever got from Wayne Gretzky was, this was his dad said, pay now, play later. How many people do the exact opposite, right? So you pay the price daily, every day. Even though you don't see the fruit on the tree, it'll be there eventually. So that's the first way to do it. You got to trust your habits, get around good people, and pay the price daily. And I promise you, good's going to happen from it. I don't care if you're 50 years old or 20 years old. Invest a little bit of money, invest in yourself, hang around the right people. You will be successful. That's the first way to do it. The second way to do it, massive action. Again, begin with the end in mind. This is what I want for my life. Okay, now let's work backwards. Let's make a list of every single thing that needs to happen for me to get the life of my dreams. And then you don't hold back. Like I said, I could have been in Costa Rica in 2 months after we made the decision to move to Costa Rica. Yeah, but I had to sell 4 vehicles during COVID. I needed to sell a house. I needed to sell everything during COVID. So what? Massive action. We put in 16-hour days to get this thing happening. If somebody wants to lose 100 pounds, you put, like I'm 180 right now. If I were 280 pounds, give me 75 hard times 2. I'll be walking 6 hours a day. I'll be down to 1,400 calorie diet of just the healthiest stuff. There's no fucking way I'm going to stay 260 pounds and be obese and die early. Not going to happen. Massive action. I'm going to get a coach. I'm going to surround myself with good people. I'm going to train 4 hours a day. I'm going to hire a massage therapist. Everything. Massive action to get to where I want to go as fast as possible. So many people just, they don't take that to heart. And here's why. They say, you know what? If I hold out for that future, I always have hope. And if I always have hope, I'm always good. Because the moment you take massive action and you fail, you lose hope. And then you have nothing. That's bullshit. That's actually not true. What you end up having is a way that didn't work. You make course corrections and you go on a different path. And you get it done with another series of actions that are massive. But people hold out, one day. And then one day you get a life of regrets because nothing ends up happening. There's your hope for you. How did it work out, buddy? So those are the two ways you do it.
Yeah. It's when I say do hard things, it's the doing. A lot of people are like, they get analysis by paralysis. They overthink. There's just a fear. So many things hold people back, but taking the massive action, doing what are required. It's no secret. There's no secret to weight loss, but everyone, like, we have these conversations. You see it on Facebook all the time, and the internet's like, well, how do you lose weight? How did you do it? We all know what it takes. It's just a matter of doing it.
100%.
There's different methodologies to getting there, but it's all in the action. And you live and die by your habits. You're doing it not just today and tomorrow, like doing it consistently over a period of time until you achieve your goal, seeing it through. A lot of people don't see it through. Like we're recording this in January, where everyone, the gyms are packed right now. People have these new resolutions and New Year's resolutions. And, by February, then those people who didn't break their long-term habits, they didn't see it through, are going to start going back into their old habits. It's keeping them down.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I don't feel like it. I'll tell you right now. I hate weight training. I've been doing it for since I was 16 years old. I absolutely hate weight training. I'm a natural bodybuilding champion. I've hated the whole process. It's hard work lifting heavy weights. It's hard work taking the exercise to failure. I do it every day. I procrastinate for an hour before I get into the gym because I just dread it. Okay. And this is a guy who's, I'm a machine, man. I'll train every day. I do train every day. I don't like it. I don't enjoy it at all. As far as food goes, my wife says to me, like, do you ever get these crazy cravings? All the time. I'm always hungry. If I eat 2,000 calories or 6,000 calories, I'm still hungry. But there comes a point in time where you got to have high standards and say, listen, this is what I want. I'm getting what I want, what I truly want. Okay, so yeah, people have these cravings. People don't want to train. So what? Who cares? Do it anyway.
Do it anyway. It's embracing the discomfort and being okay with it. It's being comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I'm like you. I'm an endurance athlete, still running and cycling. And there are days that I don't want to run. I don't want to get on that bike. And usually lacing up the shoes or just, putting your helmet on is getting going is the hardest part. Cause I've had plenty of mornings where I'm procrastinating. There's at least 2 days a week where I'm just like, I would rather do anything than get my ass down there on the treadmill or go outside for that run. Anything, but I know that it's coming on those 2 days that it happens, and I push through anyway. And it may not be my best workout, but at least I showed up and I still completed it. And it gives me courage and confidence for the next time it happens. Like, okay, I know that this is coming again, but I need to do the work because it's good for me in the long run. That's being in it. We talk about hashtag adulting, right? That's having the discipline to do the things that you need to be doing because it's good for you and you want to achieve that goal and seeing it through. That's where it's at. And a lot of people just
Well, here's the crazy thing. Okay, people will use excuses all the time. I'm looking at you right now, and you are on the upswing of COVID. So a lot of people don't know this. I'm hoping you're okay with me saying this, but you're doing 75 hard. You have not missed a beat while having COVID. Listen, you don't live in Costa Rica where it's nice and warm weather. You were out in the cold. I saw the Instagram, the Facebook pictures.
Oh, it sucked.
It was cold. It was cold out there. You were still putting in the work with COVID. I guarantee you, most people would lie on the couch, and maybe they need to. I don't know. I don't know your personal situation, but I know you. And I said, this guy's going to go through this no matter what, whether he feels like it or not, regardless of his situation. You look great, by the way.
Oh, well, thanks. I still feel a little, my brain's a little foggy. I'm on the upswing, but
yeah.
But I will tell you I said that in my video, like, look, you need to go see a doctor. I think legally, I need to say that I would not recommend this. You need to go see a doctor or whatnot. But seriously, like, we got a group doing 75 hard. I'm not going to get mad at anyone if they can't do it, because COVID, I mean, is wiping people out, and I get it.
Yeah, big time.
But I wanted to see myself, like, can I physically do this? And I had a couple of those days where I had the chills and whatnot, but I looked for energy pockets, and I am so in tune with my body from working out and all these other ultra endurance events that I've done, that I'm like, okay, if I drink this water and I get a little bit of this coffee, maybe get a little food in me, maybe I'll have an energy pocket here at about 1 o'clock.
Yep.
I'm gonna get out there and get that thing done. When the sun's out, I catch that window of opportunity, and I would rest, and I'd be like, okay, I'm going to go do it. And then I mean, there were a couple, especially there was one day that we had a snow day. It was miserable. Like I could not wait to get back on my couch. And then I laid down and I rested. And then later on, I went for a 20-minute walk and then did like 25 minutes of yoga. But pushing myself. And at the end of the day, it was still a win. But it all goes back to a mindset. For me, doing hard things it's a lifestyle, because I know that by embracing these things in my life, it bleeds over into every other aspect of my life. It gives me courage and confidence. So when I face another challenge, like, you know what? Damn it, I did the MR 340. I did 75 hard when I had COVID. I can do this, and those shitty situations or those struggles that come, like, I have a frame of reference for something else that I've done. And
yeah, exactly. Well, here's the thing too, and this is what I wanted to touch on too. You've got these reference anchors of success, running this race, doing this thing, going through this challenge. And I think what people end up doing is they focus on the negative. I failed calculus. I failed this marriage. I failed this event. I gained weight. They focus on the wrong things. Okay, so when you have the reference points of your own successes, because everyone's had wins, and you start looking at the wins, you're like, you know what? I'm actually not that bad after all. And you build on the wins. It's what you focus on, right? I mean, you've got some huge, huge successful anchors to draw from, where you can say, you know what? I can do this. And that's what I love about the Do Hard Things slogan and that whole concept that you have. Now, going back to the COVID thing, I got to tell you, like, I had COVID early on. It was nasty. I took 4 days off of work. I'd never take days off for illness. I still got into the gym. And I said, I'm not taxing my lungs. I'm going super slow. I am doing something. It's probably like 20% capacity.
Yeah.
But it was something. You don't be stupid. You're not going to go in there and say, screw COVID, I'm going to kick ass. No. Respect COVID and do your best and take care of yourself. But that action of following through was very important for me. Even if it was 20% capacity, it was saying, you know what? I can overcome.
Yeah. Yeah, that was it for me. It's like, I'm going to push through this. And also, I tell people it's also an opportunity, because I'm not a huge, yoga is one of those things. It's like paying taxes and brushing my teeth. I don't necessarily enjoy it, but I know that it's good for me.
Yeah,
and I looked at it as an opportunity, like, okay, I can do some active recovery yoga, and it's going to help me, and I can focus on my hip flexors and open up my hips, because it's going to make me a better runner. I looked at it as okay, I'm not going to be able to do threshold intervals today, but what can I do to optimize my health? Well, one, let's get over COVID. I can drink and eat water, or drink water, but focus on my flexibility. And like you said, just getting the psychological win of follow through and pushing through.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. What are some of your big success anchors? What would you attribute some success anchors in your life?
Oh man, success anchors. okay, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a success anchor, but it was always having role models. All right. So my biggest role model was my dad, and it was in a negative way. My dad was my hero until I realized he was an absolute joke in so many ways. He was an addict. He was addicted to everything. He was physically, mentally abusive. It was tough living with the guy. And I knew when he wasn't addicted to whatever, he wasn't on his alcohol binge. He was actually a good dude, but it was a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of thing. And I said, I will never be like that. I am going to be the best dad around for my kids. I can't be like this. And that was big for me. I dreamed of one day being this super dad for my kids and giving my kids the shot that I never had, because I think I had some talent to maybe go someplace with soccer, with some other things. I didn't have that opportunity because it just wasn't afforded to me. So that was a major role model of what I didn't want to be. And so many people hang on to that anchor. Well, you don't understand. My dad was this and that. Screw that. Trust me, I've lived it. This is exactly how not to be. And then, of course, my mom was a major anchor. I mean, she held the family together, loyal to the core. While we were struggling financially, she took on any entrepreneurial gig that she could, sewing dresses, baking, whatever. She was a machine business-wise, and she kept the family together. I'm like, my mom's a tough woman, man. I can learn from her, and I think that's where I got my entrepreneurial drive. Having said that, we had this massive desire to succeed, coming from shopping from the bargain bin, $5 clothes, going to school, being laughed at. Hey, you're a geek, whatever. What are you looking at, little man? That kind of thing. That was tough growing up. And then, you watch TV and you look at Arnold Schwarzenegger in the Guinness Book of World Records as the world's most perfect man. You look at Batman, I'm like, I got to be like that. So watch pro wrestling and see these guys, strut their stuff on the microphone. I'm like, that's the way a man's got to be. Okay, whether it was or not, those were my role models. Strength, helping people out, working on your body, taking care of others. That was important to me. And I adopted that. So needless to say, when Arnold Schwarzenegger, world's most perfect man, is your role model, one of my biggest wins was competing naturally in the World Championships in Arizona 2012. I was the fourth best middleweight in the world, ripped to shreds. It was funny, the guy who came in first, the guy who came in third, both eventually ended up taking steroids. They probably took steroids during, they just beat the test. But that was a nice win, doing it naturally and being at the top of my game. That was a big win. Getting 2 degrees. A family where nobody was succeeding, getting 2 university degrees. I was the guy that almost failed grade 3, grade 6, grade 9, numerous classes in high school, failed calculus 3 times, almost didn't get into university, almost didn't make it past my first year. Getting the 2 degrees was very important for me. Remember, after the first year being on academic probation, and I walk in the second year saying, you know what, I can do this. From here on in, I'm the top student in this program. I'm the total package. I can do anything. People were saying, Tom, you've changed. What happened to you? All of a sudden, I became like the second best student in the program. Why? Because I was listening to the lectures with a tape recorder, replaying them, making notes, reading the book over 4 times, putting in the work. But it was a mindset shift. It was an attitude, right? I knew that, hey, listen, if I can beat the world physically and mentally with my intellect, what else is there? Now it comes down to money, right? I took the wrong route with teaching. I took the golden prison bars, a good pension. I could have been making so much more money in entrepreneurial endeavors. But needless to say, outwork people. Outwork was the key, right? And the win of having a successful business, being a successful teacher, and retiring early, massive anchor. I don't think there's any limits right now. There's nothing. So those were probably my biggest anchors. Fitness, intellectual, and business-wise, money-wise.
I love what you just said there. There's no limitations. I can do anything. I mean, that's how I have felt earlier in my life that I was limited based off of my intelligence and my socioeconomic upbringing. And because I came from a very poor family and very broken home. I'm like, well, I need to join the military. That's the only hope for me.
Yeah.
And not knowing that I could do anything else. Now I feel like in the last 10 years, I'm like, you know what? I can literally do anything that I want if I'm willing to put in the work and learn, be humble enough to learn.
Yeah.
And now as I'm transitioning from the military, I'm like, man, I can literally do whatever the hell I want. I can live pretty much wherever I want. And what do I want to do? Like, and get really clear on that. So,
Yeah, big time. Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
This is what I heard about the military. What they do is they take your personality, and obviously, they take your personality, your perceptions, your view on life, and they strip you of it all, and they rebuild you, and they give you discipline, and a different set of different sense of confidence. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, you go to basic training, and everyone has their own value system that they grew up in, and own background, socioeconomic background, religious background, like and you get thrown into this environment where it's like, they shave your head, they take everything away from you, and it's like, okay, you're learning the Army values now, you're learning discipline. And I think that maybe initially they stripped that sense from you, but we want everyone to have the same set of values in the Army. We want everyone to be disciplined, but I think personality is good, and that's one of the things that makes the military unique, is that we still have the same set of values. But what I have found really interesting is, like, going to a dinner with a coworker at work who's from Jamaica. I came from a very small, narrow-minded, small town in Missouri where, racism, and there were still some choice words that you wouldn't dare say now, that I'll say this with embarrassment, that I had that vocabulary when I joined the military, just out of pure ignorance and out of the community that I grew up in. That was the norm there. But then when I joined the military, I'm like, all of that is BS. This guy's outrunning me. He's smarter than me. What is that? So the military is definitely a melting pot. At least the U.S. military is a melting pot of our vast country with so many different backgrounds. And I do think that we try to establish the same set, the Army values, and so we have a commonality. But yet, I think it's everyone's uniqueness that makes the military very, very, well, I just said uniqueness, but it makes it very unique community. Like, I live here in Fort Leonard Wood, small town, rural Missouri town. But what makes this town so interesting is 60% of the people that are eligible to retire from Fort Leonard Wood stay here. So you have this very unique, small, conservative community with people from I don't know, you go to various pockets of the country, and you'll see, like, especially it's like, I don't know, if we're playing the Super Bowl, right? And you're like in Kansas City, and Kansas City's a Super Bowl, you'll see everyone with Kansas City flags outside. But like here in the small community, it's like you'll see license plates and flags from all the different NFL teams from all over the country, and even, I mean, we got people from other countries here. And so it's just it's like a melting pot of the country in a small space. So it makes it for a very unique environment. I don't know if I answered your question. I still have COVID brain.
But I got a question for you, Jay.
Yeah.
Extending from the discipline, 3 habits. Let's share 3 habits that are the core habits over the course of, let's say, a day or a week. 3 or 4 habits. What do you got?
3 habits. Definitely the morning routine. Just having a morning routine. Absolutely critical. I think what I describe to people, it's almost like, have you ever been to like a self-defense class? It's like you can stand there like you normally do, and someone comes up to you, they'll push you over. But like when you're in that fighter stance, when your feet are shoulder width apart, your knees are kind of bent, it's like you can face the day. You can be like the Matrix guy and just like,
you got it.
I think that's what the morning routine is to me. It's like it enables me to get in that fighter stance and gives me solid footing to deal with the rest of the day. So getting up, reading something positive, getting my workout done, drinking a glass of water first thing in the morning, planning out the day first thing, just that before anyone else gets up. That's habit number one. If I don't do that in the morning, and some days are better than others, some days, but if I get up and I'm in reaction mode, I feel like I'm in reaction mode the rest of the day. So that's habit number one for me.
Good. I like it.
Habit number two, I would say weekly habit is more like Sunday night planning or Monday morning planning, where you map out the entire week. That's critical to me. You get the wind's picking up there. You're that enables you to kind of see what needs your attention. It enables you, like if you had a jar with a you've seen that if you had a pile of gravel, your big rocks are the most important things. Yeah, exactly. And nailing that out, because time management is something that a lot of people really blow off, but I think it's so incredibly important to manage your time so you can get things done and also enjoy the ride. Be intentional about certain things, like being intentional with family time and date night and those things. So that's habit number two that I find to be critical.
Yeah, good.
Okay. Third habit, I would say, I don't know if this is so much a habit or routine, but having intentional time with my girlfriend or my kids, like creating that time of intentionality.
Yeah.
And the habit of blocking that time in and doing it so I have the opportunity to connect with my family on a deeper level. So I think those are the three regular routine or habit type things that I do that are critical to me. There's a bunch of other little small habits that I do, but I think if I were to boil down, like, what are the most critical to me, those would be the three.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah,
what about you?
Totally same page. Habit number one starts Sunday night, just like you. Great minds think alike, right? And obviously we got this from other great minds, and that's why we are getting into our own greatness. Sunday night, lay out the plan. Remember having this university professor for Teachers College give a speech to the class, graduating class. This is what he does. He comes up and he says, "Good evening, everybody. The main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing." Dude walks off the stage. That was it. I'm like, holy shit, that was the best speech I ever had. I sought him out the next day. I said, "Dr. Klassen, what was that all about? I get it. I'm soaking this in. Talk to me. He gave me a book. First things first, he gave me 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I devoured those books. And here's what I learned about Sunday night. Sunday night, what's the main thing? There's 3 or 4 core tasks that I must get done over the course of the week. Okay, they're critical. If I get them done, I move the needle in a big way, period. Right? So Monday morning, man, it's windy. Give me a second.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Man, it hasn't been this windy in a long time. So Monday, I have something called a power hour, and it is completely focused. It's interesting because Ed Milet just released this video just today, actually, about not multitasking, but I think he called it monotasking, and getting focused on one key thing and getting it done. So my power hour, what's the critical task that I need to get done? It's 1 hour straight of focusing on achieving that one task. And I'm completely locked in. So that's one habit. Number 1, discovering what the main thing is. And number 2, taking massive action that hour, focused action. Second habit, so that's business-wise. So I have Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I've got 3 dedicated hours to just complete focus. I usually try to get most of my stuff Monday, Tuesday as part of that business career focus. The needle movers. The second habit is 5-fold. I call it the core 5. It's training every day. It's getting the proper nutrition. So I got 15,000 calories a week. However way I want to break it down, I've got 180 grams of protein. Those are my key markers. As long as I have 15,000 calories and 180 daily, my body stays the same. It's lean. It's a machine. It's called accountability. We can get a tax accountant for business. Why can't we do the same thing for our bodies? All right. So habit number 2 is good quality nutrients, get my protein in, get my calories in. Habit number 3 is 6 to 8 hours of quality sleep. Habit number 4 is drinking 8 to 10 glasses of water no matter what throughout the day. Otherwise, you catch up near the end. I know 75 hard pushes the water thing. Problem is, you wait till later on, you're going to mess up your sleep. So you spread that throughout the day. And the 5th thing is your mindset. Stay away from the news. I don't always read, but what I do is I'll read a good quote. You can at least do that. A good, meaningful quote and go, oh man, that quote was heavy. How does that apply to my life? It's all you need. Okay, 15 minutes a day of reading is magical, but if you can't do that, you can at least read some kind of motivational quote that'll help you move the needle. So that's the core 5. And then the 3rd thing is, like you said, being intentional with the relationship. Okay, I talk to my kids every day via FaceTime. Every day. I don't always get an answer from my daughter, but I talk with my son every day, and I'll text my daughter and let them know that I love them. And have some good conversation, pass on the jokes. They always know dad's in their corner. They can always count on dad. The number 1 relationship, kids don't come first. The relationship with my wife comes first. A lot of people get that wrong. Okay? Bottom line is, my kids live for their own lives. My wife and I are as one. People don't understand that. And if you're not good with your wife, you better get your shit together. Okay, I'm divorced. Great lady. I needed to move on. And you have to have those tough conversations. So many people say, you know what? They become dogs. Jay, a lot of guys become dogs. I'm going to stay in this relationship out of convenience. I'm going to live a compromised life, less than what I should because of the kids. Because no, you know what? Maybe you're doing it because if you go out on your own, you're going out with half of your possessions. And that's scary. So instead, you live a life of misery, pain, knowing you shouldn't be with this person. You both need to move on. So I learned that lesson. This relationship with my wife right now, we are a rock solid. We are not on the same page. We are on the same letter of the same word. She can run my business. I trust her with my money. She trusts me with her money. She's capable. We got a passion for one another. I take care of her. She takes care of me. I got an appointment with her later on. She goes, what's the appointment? I said, I'm giving you a massage. She goes, really? I said, damn right. You deserve it. She's looking forward to it. Man, like she's happy about that. Yeah. Right? Little things, little intentional actions. How many guys do that?
Tom, you make an appointment with your wife? That's crazy.
I know. Sounds crazy, right?
I know. It sounds crazy. I hear it because we talk about these concepts to people and I just see the wheels spin. Like, why would you do that? Like, well, I have all this extra time. I have my evenings, right? If you don't time block it, it won't happen, or it won't happen with the same level of intention that you do when you say, you know what, I'm gonna give my wife a massage. She's looking forward to it because it's on the calendar, right? And she knows that you're being intentional about it. It just, it's awesome. It's awesome. It's just a better way to level up your relationship is by time blocking them and showing up with intention.
Yeah, big time. It's interesting. Even something small like, man, this sounds so domestic, man, but it's so true. I washed the dishes earlier on. She goes, who washed the dishes? You washed the dishes. I can't believe it. Yeah, no big deal. So what? You got to understand, in Costa Rica, pipes break very quickly. They dry out very quickly. So our dishwasher doesn't work. I am the dishwasher, right? It's the least I can do.
Yeah.
It's the least I can do around the house. And she's like, wow, I feel good. Making a meal for your wife, like on the barbecue or whatever. That stuff goes a long way. And then listen, later on at night, when we want to get passionate or I want to get passionate, she's fair game because she's like, this guy loves me.
Yeah.
And that passion is so important, man. If you don't want to get it on with your wife and you're looking elsewhere, that's a red flag, man. And how many guys are in that situation? We don't talk about that in podcasts, but the reality is most men are.
Yeah, no, we've had that conversation. I've had that conversation with my tribe of people. That's not normal. It's not normal to not want to be with your partner. There's something going on there that needs to be unpacked or uncovered. And if you let that fester too long, it gets calloused and it will ultimately destroy your relationship.
Big time.
And so, and this is something that, I mean, like you, I've been divorced. I didn't know what the love languages were. Like, people aren't teaching these things in school. They're not having these conversations. You don't And if you watch Netflix and you watch, I mean, what was on Netflix the other day? It was like the Paradise, the Bachelor Paradise. And
Okay.
I actually I watched it a little bit and I actually got really upset with what the words that the guy was saying about sleeping with these girls. I'm like, this is so disgusting.
Yeah.
Like, this is not how a man should treat a woman. And, you know, there were little kids around. I made the point, like, I know you guys are watching this, but I just want you to know that I'm not okay with this. This is not normal behavior. This is not what a successful relationship will ever turn out to be or look like. And so just realize that this is TV and it's not reality. It's reality TV, but it's not reality.
Yep.
And I think people are just inundated with this. I don't know. Like, we're not having the conversations that we need to be having, and we're being inundated with a bunch of bad behavior,
Yep.
which is exasperating the problem.
No, and I agree with you. And the other thing too is you take a look at, you know, I've got a certain view of where I want my life to go.
Mm-hmm.
I've got certain values, and if they don't match up with my wife, if we're not on the same page with regards to where we're headed and with our values, the relationship is over. And I think so many people get into relationships because it feels nice. It feels nice to be with somebody, but you didn't take that inventory before about values, about where you want to go with life. And then later on, you realize 15 years down the road that you're no longer on the same page and you're trying to make things work and it's not working. Right? So those conversations should have happened very early on.
Yeah.
And continue to happen daily.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's just a matter of people just not knowing. They just don't know. Like they don't know what they don't know. And but being more aware now that I've done the personal growth and development and just reading books on the topic, you know, I feel like I'm far more aware because I don't want to go back and I don't want to be divorced again. That was miserable.
No.
That was miserable. And so, you know, I had learned the hard way. Hence, one of the reasons why I'm doing the work that I'm doing now is because I don't want people to make the same mistakes. And, you know, one of the habits critical is being intentional with your kids and your spouse and partner. And I love that you're on the same, not only the same page, but the same letter. That's where we all need to be. That's the standard right there.
It's not easy. It's not easy. But I think there also is a raw attraction that you have to your spouse or your girlfriend, whatever the situation is. You got to have that raw attraction, and you got to be rooting for that person. You know, that person has their goals and dreams as well, and you're there to support them. Right? Dudes can be selfish. Women, I think, less so. Dudes can be selfish. It's all about them, right? And you and I both know enough guys like that. So it's, you know, like you said, getting in tune with their goals as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the principles I talked about last week's podcast is understanding the goals and vision for those around you and cheering them on and being in tune with that. Do you know what your partner's goals are? And one of the exercises to work on the forges this week is, you know, what are your 50 bucket list items that you want to accomplish? And then 2, share them with your partner. And I had people in the group that like, you know what, I've never really shared my goals with my partner before.
Yeah.
And I've got a couple couples that are in the group and they're like, this first time that they've ever shared with one another what they're working on. And it's a simple thing like that we just don't make time to do these things, but it's so incredibly important.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
And now it's like people are planning like, okay, well, this is what we want to accomplish in 2022. They're seeing like commonalities in their bucket list items of what they want to do together. And they're actually making it happen.
Oh man, dude, when we first started dating, my wife and I, we actually had that bucket list. I made mine, she made hers, and we came up with 3 that we were going to do together. And you talk about connectors connecting us, right? Because it was a shared bucket list. It was really cool, right? Now, here's the flip side of it. You can make all the money in the world, and you can do really well with that. And you can think you're taking care of your wife by throwing money at her, that kind of stuff. But if she's not happy, the reality of it is this: after you pay your taxes and you're down to 50% of that money, she's taking another 25 of that. Right. And that idea should scare a lot of men because they're in that position where that woman's thinking, shoot, I want out. And they don't even know it.
Yeah. 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 It's
you don't go there.
No, you don't want to go there. In addition to like, you know, I had kids during my divorce and just all the pain that it causes for the kids and everything else. It's just not a pleasant experience, you know.
No.
Not making that mistake again. That's for sure.
No.
And and you're absolutely right. The habit is being intentional, getting on the same sheet of music, and you are one with your partner. It needs to be that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And look for the red flags and correct, right? Get into counseling if you need to, and then do the work. Do the work that's required. Because every day that you're not doing the work, it's just another layer of callus, and eventually it's
see it all the time, man. It's bad.
So with the men that you work with, what are some common pitfalls or common issues that you tend to be working with your men on to be better? What are some of the issues that they're having that you have to address first?
Right. We do this.
I'm sorry, my questioning is just not
clear today. No, not a problem. Well, I didn't expect that one, but that's good. We do a 104 question inventory before I work with anybody, and it's raw. Like, what are your addictions? Tell me about your mom. Tell me about your dad. What are your goals and dreams? What is your biggest fear? Are you an introvert? Are you an extrovert? And I get to know these people before we even work with each other. And what I find is it comes down to the biggest thing is confidence or lack thereof. That's number one. And it's usually in one area. The person who's making a lot of money might not have the greatest health. They might not be confident in their body. The person who has this great body doesn't have confidence in their speaking ability, their ability to generate money. There's always something, right? So it's self-esteem. That's number one, one of the biggest challenges. If you believe in yourself, you're going to make shit happen. You take a look at some of these douchebags out there who think the world owes them, and they succeed because they believe in themselves. And then we got the real, genuine good guys who are kind of playing small. And I wish they could adopt some more of that douchebag belief where, here, listen, I can do it. The world owes me kind of thing. Because maybe they'll take the bull by the horns then. Okay, so that's one thing. I think the second thing is relationships, without a doubt. I don't know how many men that I coach are in not so good relationships. They're compromised. They're going to porn addictions to escape, right? Or they're going to food to escape. They're going to drugs to escape. They need a way out. That's probably the second thing, right? It's usually an escape. Alcohol, food, porn. Everyone's got something. Mm-hmm. That's the second thing. And the third thing is setting up a system of discipline where they know what to do from a tactical standpoint. Filling out a game plan on Sunday night with your main tasks, having your power hours, checking in with people, accountability, a structure. Everybody needs a structure. And I think helping people with a structure and making them become more efficient and keeping the main thing, we see people skyrocket success-wise. So I think those are the three main areas that I focus on with men.
Yeah. No, I love all those. Everything you just hit the nail on the head. As a lot of people struggle in those areas. That's it.
Oh, but here's the thing, Jay, you know this. They come in and they present their best self. Okay. And they're the proud peacocks. And I think the real thing is you got to get real. Stop lying. You don't need to lie to me. I've been through the worst. I've hit rock bottom. I've done all that. Right? I think that's what makes guys like you and I a little more relatable.
Yeah.
Because we've been there, we've done that. And I can look at somebody and say, hey, listen, dude, I'm 51 years old. I've been through that. Just be yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm very open and honest about my blemishes and my shortcomings, even on a day-to-day basis. I'm not a superhero. And I would, I think even that, like you said, I know some douchebags out there that have a lot of followers out there that I know that they've got some internal issues with themselves. I've met some of them and I know them, and I'm like, you got to be careful about who you're like. I don't know if you're people are flawed. We all have flaws and issues. And I think that I think it's important to let people know, if you're even as a coach, like you're not, these are the things I'm just good at. These are the things I'm not so good and I struggle with, but show that you're a real human being.
Yeah, that's important.
I think it's important. So, yeah. Well, I like to, we're over an hour here. So what I want to do is kind of ask you some high performance habit type questions. This is how I usually end the podcast. Yeah, right. So what is your morning routine typically look like?
Okay. So the morning routine is, wake up, give my wife a kiss, ask her how her day's going. That's critical. Where's one, right? From there, I usually have a glass of water. I have my breakfast. and just kind of plot out what I need to do for the day. I begin right after that with the main task at hand, 1 solid hour of focused, dedicated work. And usually that 1 hour becomes 1.5 hours, and I get a lot done. Then I take a break. I break to work out. I have a workout. All right. And so that workout is usually weights. It's sometimes cardio. And then right afterwards, I hit the work again for another good hour. So my first 2.5 hours are the equivalent, because they're so focused, of a regular work day. And it sets up the tone for everything else. I'll have lunch with my wife, and then I'll take the dogs out for a walk on the beach for an hour. Then I'll come home. I'll put in another hour of work. I break it up, man. I'll be honest with you. It's not, I don't power through necessarily every day. I like to break it up. And then after that bit of work, I do my martial arts workout, 30 minutes of Taekwondo, whole bunch of flexibility. So I've put in 3 workouts in a day. It just doesn't seem like 3 workouts, right? It's at a point right now with the martial arts that I'm actively recruiting people to come into my garage and fight them just to test myself, right? I haven't had a lot of takers, but I've had a few guys that said, is it with pads? Yeah, it's with pads. Okay, come on in, right? And then there's a point in time from about 4 to 5 where I'll finish up the day and set up the next day. Okay, what did I accomplish? What do I need for the next day to tackle first thing in the morning? Usually make dinner with my wife. We have a beautiful dinner, and we understand the sun goes down at 6 here every night. By 7 o'clock, you look at the stars, Jay, it's unbelievable. And we have our gratitude. We have some time to just intimate time together. Good convo, cup of coffee outside, play with the dogs, touch base with the kids, and then we retire for the night. That's my day every single day.
Yeah, I love it.
It is, man.
I love it.
And the routine doesn't change.
I like the power hour. I usually try to get my workout done first thing in the morning, but I like the dedicated hour of work, and then you do and breaking that up. As a high performance coach, I always teach, get your 3 major things done before 1. Done before 1 is the mantra, but you're getting that done. I mean, you're on that. Yeah.
1 o'clock, for whatever reason, 1 o'clock is this magic threshold. If I get most of the stuff done by 1, I've won the day.
Yeah. Well, my friend Dale Walls would say it's creative morning and then manager afternoon. So do the things that are important in the morning, because that's your most focused time and attention. And then all of the other ancillary stuff that you need to get done, meetings or phone calls or running an errands, save that for later in the day when you're a little bit more tired, So I like that. I like that idea. I don't know. I get my wheels spinning because I'm very creative in the morning. But maybe I should wake up a little bit. What time do you wake up in the morning?
It depends. Usually 6:30.
6:30. Yep. I'm thinking because I'm doing a lot more creative work. I might need to try to, because I'm still working full time in the Army as well. So, but I need a little bit more time. I'm trying to figure out where to wedge that in. I might try to get up a little bit early and try to knock out an hour of work before my workout.
Yeah, good idea. I've always won doing that. Now check this out. You want to add some juice to that hour? It's like big time juice. Here's what you do. You get yourself accountable to a group. Okay, so we got this thing called power teams where there's 4 guys on the team you're accountable to. You announce the hour. It's power hour. It's now 7:25. This is what I'm going to do. I'll check in with you at the end of the hour. Okay? Dude, at the end of the hour, when you got to check in at 8:25 and tell everybody what you did, I become an employee in my own business. I become an employee to 3 other dudes. I want to show them that I get shit done and I'm a leader.
Do you have the teams connected by the times that they could do their power hour?
They do it whenever they want. I got to respect their time, their schedules. So I've got some people, doing their power hour at 7 o'clock at night. If that works for you, do it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to call your schedule. I'm not your boss.
Yeah.
But I know
what's included in the power hour?
So basically they will present their main, their core tasks for the week on Sunday. That's the template. Sunday night, you report what you need to do. And then, come Monday, one of those main things is what you're tackling. And everyone knows everyone's main thing.
Yeah.
They know it. And then that's where honesty, integrity comes into play, where you're like, I got sidetracked. Oh man, I deviated from my plan halfway through. I got a phone call that I had to take, and this is what happened. Just total honesty. And when you get that kind of synergy in a group, man, people start growing exponentially. Powerful. That's how you get your power hour on juice.
I like that. We do a good job of holding each other accountable with our goals and whatnot, but I like the power hour concept and doing that, incorporating that into a team. I have to pick your brain a little bit more on that and see how you incorporate that.
Sure.
That's good stuff. All right, next question. What book have you gifted the most, or what are 3 books that may have made the biggest impact on your life?
Okay. So I had mentioned the First Things First. Keeping the main thing, Stephen Covey. That was a very influential book. Another one was The 4 Disciplines of Execution. I don't know if you've ever read that book.
I haven't.
I'll send you a link to it. That book was powerful because it talked about structure within an organization. So it talks about having a big, hairy goal, 1 or 2 big, hairy goals, having the key measures to measure that progress, having a cadence of accountability, and having a scoreboard. And that structure, that 4-step structure in any group, placed into any organization or group, becomes very powerful. So it's the 4 Disciplines of Execution. Very powerful book. The third one I read when I was, I'm going to say 23 years old. I avoided it for the longest time because I watched the Tony Robbins infomercials. I saw these 2 schmoes, as I called them, because I wasn't impressed with them. They were real schmoes back in my City of Toronto days, working for the city in Parks and Recreation. I was a special events coordinator, and Gord and Brandon, I think his name, were absolute dingbats, useless. Then they said, I noticed a change in the following year. They were machines. They were my best guys. I said, what happened to you? They go, Tony Robbins. Like, oh my God, you're brainwashed. You idiots. How can you get into this stuff, right? Tony Robbins. I saw the infomercials. I remember going into teacher's college and seeing his book on a bookshelf. And I watched the book. I said, nah, forget, I don't need that shit. Went back to the book, started reading the pages, and I said, you know what? I need to read this book because I'll get some ideas to do my own coaching. Right? That's why I'm going to do it. I can become a better coach. I don't need this personally, but if I can use some of Tony's techniques, I devoured that book. It was a long book, like day in, day out. I read that book, and that gave me so much inspiration. That was the #1 book that changed my life. Tony Robbins book.
The Awaken the
Time with
Awaken the Giant. Yep.
Yep. I became a tape listening machine after that.
Yeah.
Like a tape a day. Everybody. John Maxwell, Ken Blanchard, Dennis Waitley. And then, I started reading books. It was something like 47 books a year. Tony Robbins said he read, I don't know how many books, 500 books by the end of a couple of years. I figure if I do that, I'll be a pillar of wisdom.
Yeah. Have you seen his documentary, I'm Not Your Guru?
Yeah, I loved it.
Oh, it's fantastic. Like,
yes,
excellent.
You need to watch that.
Yeah, that guy is a machine. I love his work.
Yep. So those were the 3 books that, I've read a million books, but those were the 3 that shaped my life the biggest.
Yeah, those are great. All right. Well, we're about hour 15. Two final questions. I always like to pass the microphone off to my guest to ask me a question. And you've already asked me a couple questions, but I guess this will be another one.
Yeah.
What do you got for me?
I had a question. What was the one piece of advice you could give somebody that could instantly change that person's life forever? That's a tough one.
What piece of advice would I give someone to instantly change their life forever?
That you need to give some thought to. It's almost an unfair question because, that's, what do you say to somebody?
That's a hard one. Like, what could they implement immediately aside from like, hey, you need to work out. Hey, read this book.
Mm-hmm.
What could you do? My advice, I look at what had changed my trajectory, and it goes back to a book, reading the specific book called The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson about looking at inventorying my habits.
I'm going to write that down. The Slight Edge.
Yep. I can send that to, I've got it on.
Please.
Yep. That's the book that I wasn't a reader. And that book, it's like, okay, if you read 10 pages a day, it'll fundamentally change your life. I'm like, okay, my life sucks. I can read 10 pages a day. I don't like to read, but one common, I inventoried all the people that I'm like, okay, these people are kicking ass.
Yep.
These people are happy. I looked at all my leaders in the military. I looked at people outside the military. One commonality, they all read. They all read. I'm like, I hate reading. God, do I have to really read?
Yeah, likewise.
Right.
The same way.
So I asked one of my mentors, and he gave me the book, The Slight Edge. Start with this one. Right. If you read 10 pages a day, it'll fundamentally change. That was one of the things that just nugget that stood in my head. Like, okay, I'm going to commit to reading 10 pages a day. And I still do it to this day. Almost nearly every day, I'll read 10 pages. It's no wonder it's part of 75 hard. You know, read 10 pages a day is one of the tasks.
Exactly.
I don't know. Read 10 pages a day will transform your life because you're going to run into something life-changing.
Yep, I agree with you.
One book can fundamentally change your life.
Oh my goodness, 100%, man. 100%.
And you start reading a few books like that. And here's the trick. Or here's for those who don't like to read. There are so many books out there. I mean, there are millions of books that have been published, but you never have to read a bad book in your life because there have been so many good books. Just ask people what their favorite. That's why I love this question, because I'm like, I have this whole catalog of books that I haven't read because they're these people's favorite books, high performing people's favorite.
I know
books.
that's true. That's true, man. You can post those, by the way.
Yeah. I'm going to, and I'm going to read them. A lot of them I haven't. I've read a lot of them, but a lot of them I haven't. So if it's been profound to you, like, okay, these are books that I want to read, because every time that I have read one of these books, it's been phenomenal. And another pitfall is like, hey, you don't need to read a book cover to cover. If it's just not jiving with you, throw it away. Go grab another book. Yeah, you don't have to suffer through this book, because then you're going to hate reading, and you're going to equate all books to the shitty book that you're reading, and you're not going to read it anymore. Well, okay, if it's not, sometimes you can just skim through it. I don't read every word on every page. If it's just not pinging with me, you know. So
if you find one good thing that you can implement in your life, it's worth it. Absolutely.
That's all it takes. That's all it takes is a couple things. Well, like I said, one good book will fundamentally transform your book or life. So that, I guess that would be my habit is
that's the
start
one thing,
reading, read 10 pages a day. I guess that would be the one thing.
And
You can read 10 pages in about 10, 15 minutes. It doesn't take very long.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the other thing, Jay, too, is, and this is a difficult one because you do need to build some trust with the person you're working with. But I find this, and people usually break down inside. They might not show it when you say this, but one thing that can change somebody's life is when you say to somebody, I know it sounds cheesy, but you're special and you are enough. You are enough. You don't need to worry about self-esteem. You have something special to offer. And if you can convey that message to that person, they usually break down because they need to hear that. Yeah. And the fact is, I can say that to anybody and find good things about them, and they got to run on those strengths as opposed to continually beating the shit out of themselves mentally.
A lot of people just don't think that they're measuring up, and they're holding themselves back because of it.
Big time, man. Big time.
Jay, one of my favorite questions.
Go ahead.
One of my favorite questions to ask people, and it doesn't matter where they're from or if they're in my groups or not, just out on the street or whatever. If you only had 10 years left to live, what do you need to stop doing? And if I only had 1 minute with someone to make an impact on their life, that would be the question I would ask. Cause it's usually like, it's long enough to where it's like, if I only had a year to live, I'm going to go, I'm going to just drop everything, go travel the world. But 10 years is long enough. It's kind of like, it makes you inventory the people in your life, the things that you're doing, the things that are working well, the things that aren't working well, and really assess what needs to stop doing. Because as a high performance coach, I'm trying to get people to stop doing things. And there's probably something in your life that you're doing that isn't bringing you happiness or joy or success. And it's wearing on you more than you realize. And when you ask that question and you really inventory your life, you're going to come across what that is.
Yeah, big time.
And so that's one of my favorite questions.
I love it. Jay, listen, after this this podcast, I want to talk to you about something. It doesn't have to be right away. I think you're onto something, and I want to share it with you.
I appreciate it.
This will impact a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, I love the work that you're doing. I definitely see us doing some more collaboration work, and I appreciate you taking the time to come on today. So, where
Enjoy.
can people reach you? I'll right after before we hop off the podcast, we'll talk a little bit. But before we hop off, like, how can people get in contact with you?
Okay, so they can go to leagueofelite.com. So think of the word leagueofelite.com. Or Tom Kiat. You can see my name on the screen there. Coach Tom Kiat at gmail.com. And they can send me an email. They can send an email through the website. And, you know, so many people are afraid to contact for whatever reason. Just send a message and say hi. Start a conversation. Yeah. It's not going to cost you anything. I'm not looking to sell you anything, right? But if I can help in any way, I'm here for people, man. And as I know you are.
I'll put all the contact information in the show notes, and people can connect with you. And I recommend that they check out your book and everything else that you're doing.
Right
and appreciate you taking the time. And I'm sure we'll do some more collaboration work in the future.
That was a quick 80 minutes, dude.
It went by quick, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for putting up with me. I know that I'll tell you what, I am not. I think of the 4 agreements. You know, show up on, always do your best. And I know that I'm not at 100%. So I had some cloudy. Just my brain's just not firing all cylinders. But thanks for bearing with me. And I think the content we talked about was great. So
right on,
just overlook my my bad question asking today.
They're all great. They're all
great. Could have worded those better. But no, thanks for taking the time to be here, brother.
Right on, brother. Appreciate it.
For everyone listening, keep doing hard things. We'll see you guys in the next episode.
Cheers.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of the Do Hard Things podcast. I hope that you gained some value. If you did, please, I want to hear about it. Let me know. Take a screenshot of this episode, post it on social media, tag me in it. Leave a review on Apple iTunes. They go a long way to expand our reach. So I read all of them, and I'd love to know what you think about this episode and the podcast in general. And please subscribe if you haven't already done so you're notified of future episodes. Feel free to check out the store. You can go over to jtiegs.com, JAYTIEGS.com, and get yourself a hoodie like the one I'm wearing today. It's phenomenal. Feels comfy. Show the world that you do hard things. Rock the logo. We got patches. We got t-shirts. We got all sorts of stuff. And just keep an eye out because we're going to be adding new merchandise and gear out there. If you haven't subscribed to the motivational newsletter, do so. I send out a weekly email. We're going to be having live events, online events in the Facebook community. So join the Do Hard Things Nation. And yeah, in the meantime, keep doing hard things, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.